Good to see you.
International breaks over and finished with. What have you done in this time to work with the players that you had, and has everyone come back fit and ready to go?
No, from the long-term injuries, we have still to wait that they arrive back. So Romeo will take a few more weeks, and Tino, not in this year, maybe next year. So it's also taking. But they're both on the pitch. They're both doing their jobs, and when somebody's on the pitch, it doesn't mean that he's able to train with a team. There are some big difference between running straight lines or playing football. But yes, so this is for the two guys. No, the rest for the international break, I think we had a very, very good time. The last 2 weeks, finally there were 10 players here, so quite a lot. A few players that were coming new to our club decided to stay and not to go. What definitely helps to work with them and to work individually on some behaviors what we need for our game. And we had some internal games, we had some good sessions, and finally, hard for me now to put a squad on the pitch will be not so easy because they all did a good job.
You've been fielding the youngest average 11 in the Premier League this season. Does an international break give you more time to work with these young players and really put across what you'd like them to do during Premier League matches? Does this international break actually take a little bit more for you to give you something extra because of the young squad you're working with?
Yeah, the problem is that these young players then are then so good that they're immediately going to the international, so they're not here. So, or in the case of Amel, he was in the first team for Germany, but also Samuel and Juan were gone with the under 20 or under 23 or something like that, and that's the reason why we then have to work with the players that have been here. But Ainsley was here, and Joe stayed here, and some others. Douye was here, although he's not a young player, but we could work with these guys, and this was good.
Premier League action next. Everton at home. You've only won 2 of your last 10 matches at home in all competitions. How do you turn things around?
Yeah, the last we have won at home against Chelsea, and since then I think they are nearly 5 weeks ago. I think it feels like ages where we played the last time at home. I remember this game very well. I think we have shown a very good game at home, and this is what we want to do tomorrow again against a good side, and we are ready for this.
All 7 points you've picked up in the Premier League this season have come from losing positions. What does that say about your starting games, but also the positivity of the character to keep coming back at teams?
Yeah, this is not the plan to go in losing positions to turn things around. It's not always easy and not always possible, as the last 2 games have shown. So, would be also helpful sometimes to go in the lead, like we have done in the last years very often. Then we were struggling of keeping the lead. So in the end, it's simply not easy to win Premier League games for us, for every other team also. And if you want to win one, you need to have a overall very good performance. And for this, we have to bring the right players in the right positions and the right game plan on the pitch. And this is the plan for tomorrow, to do this in a way that we have a chance to win.
It's 13th against 14th this weekend with you and Everton. Clearly, both sides haven't started the way that they would have hoped for in terms of results, not necessarily performances. Frank Lampard has been under a little bit of pressure. Do you feel under pressure at all? Do you feel like if you don't pick up the results that you're going to need, that the board might look around and think, right, we need to make a change because this isn't what we want?
Despite to create any quotes for betting companies, I say no, I'm not under pressure. Not more than every other day when I work with my team. I last week explained it in the way that the biggest pressure I put on or I feel on me is the pressure I put myself on me to do a good job here every day, to deliver the players the best possible work. This is the pressure I feel and I put on myself, and it's enough. If you want to make a good job, I think the most pressure is always coming from yourself, or should come from yourself.
Thanks, Ralph.
Cool, thanks, Mark.
Ralph, Mark mentioned the home results and you mentioned Chelsea, but the last 3 performances, say since an hour mark against Leeds, so Leeds, Manchester United and Chelsea, how pleased have you been with performances, even if it's only brought 4 points?
There's nothing older than good performances from the past. So it's nice to have. But meanwhile, we have lost 2 games since then, and we have some players out with injuries, like Romeo, for example. And we had to find other solutions and other ways for being successful again. And this is too long ago in football. Even the last game is 2 weeks ago. In 2 weeks, things are changing massively in football, and players are in different shapes. Players are in different levels in their performances because they were coming from the internationals, had good moments there or not. So things are changing every day. Like when you perform well 2 weeks ago, it also doesn't help you to win the game on the weekend now. So it's not like I sometimes speak about a car you put in the garage and 2 weeks later you put it out and you can drive again 300 if you want. But in football, it is not like this. It's always a team that needs to work and that needs to find together, find the rhythm. And in the last weeks, we didn't really have a lot of chance for a rhythm because of the international break, because of the special situation with the death of the Queen. So we had some delays, and that is the reason why we are now looking forward to a very intense time. With a lot of games coming up where you can go get hopefully a successful rhythm.
So even though it's been a long time since playing at St Mary's, there's no value in, I don't know, showing the group clips of the Chelsea game the last time they were there. It's all just gone.
No, because it doesn't make sense. Not only because of the different maybe tactic from the opponent or every game this is an interesting thing in the Premier League. What I very often speak about is that you have every week a different challenge, a different style of football you're facing. That means you have to prepare different for these games, and the only thing that always stays consistent is the quality, the high quality you are facing every weekend. So, and therefore you have to be prepared.
So looking ahead to Everton then, similar to you guys, I think, in that they started with 3 at the back and then have switched to a 4 and seem very difficult now to break down and beat. They've been unbeaten for a while. Why is there any similarity between the 2 teams? Why you've switched from 3 to 4? Is it our teams getting better at playing against 3 at the back formations, or?
I cannot speak for them. I can only speak for us. I don't know what was the reason why they changed it. Maybe they had also some injury problems, as I know. They had some centre-back injuries, so it's always different. And as we said, we had a feeling that we are, in this way, more compact, conceding less chances against us. So this was for sure a reason. Sometimes it's more helpful when you have more pressure up front and keep the opponent further away from your goal. And sometimes it's better to defend a little bit deeper. A back 5 has a lot of arguments on the side. If you play it well, it's hard to break shape, I think, for the opponent. But in some moments, it's better to go with 4.
What are you impressed with from their formation and their performances recently that they're going to bring to St Mary's?
High energy, quality up front, speed up front, Mopai fits good in the team, with Calvert-Lewin, a player that is also a proven goal scorer in the Premier League, and with Cody, a new signing in the back, what is also helpful for them. So a team with quality.
Jordan Pickford's last game, he was fantastic against Liverpool, but he's had almost a month out injured since then. And when an outfield player is out for a month, it can take them a while to find their match sharpness again, adjust to the pace of the game, that sort of thing. Is that the same with a goalkeeper?
It's not guaranteed that it's a problem for a player. Sometimes you see that you give them all the time to come back fit and give them the time maybe with a friendly game to learn to be competitive again. So it was a long time, but I think he's now meanwhile a very experienced goalkeeper. I don't see the big problems to step in after a long-term break.
And just with Romeo, you said it'd be another couple of weeks. Is that longer than you initially expected, or is he on course for what?
No, we knew about the grade of the injury. It was relatively soon clear that it will take a long time to be out, and it's not easy for him, because it's the first very frustrating injury for him. and also not easy for us. But this is how football sometimes works, and you have to accept it and use the time for coming back even stronger physically and mentally.
Thank you.
Ian?
Well, Ralph, without Romeo in midfield, how encouraged are you with the rest of your options in midfield?
We have enough options, and we also have shown in the past that the double six is something what we still can play in a 4-2-3-1, and with Ibra and Prowse and Nate Ainsley, who is now closer to what we expect from him, who has learned it, definitely something that is an alternative for us.
How much of a booster when he does return in a couple of weeks? How much of a lift will it give your players?
Yeah, I don't have any ideas about him in the moment. We have other issues what we have to solve. So this is always the thing when a player is longer out, then you are seeing him running around and doing his rehab, but you have to concentrate on your team.
You touched earlier about the break, the 2 weeks. Nice to work on a few things, but also how difficult can that be as well, because you've got a number of players away on international duty as well at the same time.
Yeah, as I said, 10 was a lot that stayed here this time, and we had international breaks where we had 4 or 5 players only here. Then it makes it even harder because it's not easy to create a good session with 4 or 5 players. So this time it was a little bit easier, and we had also from the academy always players with us, so we could also play 11 against 11. Finally, it's for every club the same, and now we are all going in a very intense time, as I said, and now we need every player on a high level, and that's the reason why we try to push them hard, to have a big workload in these last 2 weeks, that we are ready for this term.
And you mentioned there about the slow starts earlier on. How confident are you that, having worked on it the last couple of weeks, that's soon going to change going into the Everton game and you can get on the front foot quickly? Yeah,
every team is now looking forward to these games coming up. We have only 7 games played so far, and until the break from the World Cup, everybody knows that this is now a very intense time, and a little bit of feels a little bit like the Christmas time where we normally have a lot of games coming up, and this is good. We like it. Coming in thick and fast, and this one coming up against Everton. Frank Lampard, what do you make of the way that he's made his side very difficult to beat recently over the last few matches? Yeah, they had a tough start and then showed with new signings that they have a squad that can win games, and I think some remarkable results in the past, and would be an interesting game. We are ready for this. And that sense of that partnership, Salisu, Kochap, you must be pleased with the way that they're really starting to form a decent partnership between the two of them. Absolutely. I mean, they have shown that they are especially against the ball, really really strong and hard to beat. And this was the reason why both were going now to internationals and get invitations for their countries to play for them, and did a good job there, both. And any other injuries of note to mention? No, so far not. I have to remove one player from the squad, so but it's always the real pressure decision for me every week. When you speak about pressure, this is for me always the hardest thing to do, because when you see everybody working on the pitch and then one cannot be in the squad, this is always not nice. Cheers, Ralph. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, move on to the second section, back to 10:30 this evening. Alfie, do you want to start things off?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Ralph.
Good afternoon.
Frank Lampard speaking yesterday, he labelled this block of 8 games a bit of a mini league. It's obviously a very unique challenge for all of us, but how have you and your coaches prepared for something that's this different?
Yeah, I'm trying to get everybody fit and everybody important for the team in the moment. So we are now looking for all the games. We're looking at the first one, and then we go to Man City away, and then I don't even know the next one. So it's you see that we are focusing on the first 2. So this is the job we have to do.
And Stuart Armstrong played every match for you last season from December onwards. I think he's only started one time this year. He's obviously getting into his phase. He's gone away with the international break as well. I mean, what do you expect his role to be over the next sort of 9 months? Important in the team, like every season. In the end, I think Stuart had always some moments where he was not on the highest level, but then showed his quality immediately, and it was good for him to play 2 games and a half, I think.
So looking forward to see him more often with us on the pitch.
Is there something that he has to do now to get back into the starting 11, or is it a case of perhaps Moel you see fits the shape better, or he's not quite an out-and-out winger?
Good performance is always helpful, and in the end, it very often depends on the tactic and on the way we want to play. That is part of the choose of the selection from the team, and finally we have to see what we are facing here, what we need, and then we can pick the right team, hopefully.
See somebody who obviously gone away with the international break, you don't get to work with them. With the young players, it could be a bit frustrating, but for him to be able to go away, get 70 minutes under his belt, does that benefit him coming back? He's a little sharper.
Stewie, yeah. I mean, for Stewie, every game he plays is important, and he had 2 good ones, I think, and they had also a successful time in a very strong team. I must say that Scotland did a good job there, and I saw the game against Ireland. It was really a good turnaround. And finally, promoting in the Group A is a massive signal. And you can see that this is a strong side. And when you play in a strong side, it always helps you.
Thank you, Ralph.
Cool, Jacob.
Hi Ralph, as Mark said, you've had the youngest squad in the Premier League so far, but you've also used the most players as well. Does this show that you haven't quite got your squads together, you haven't quite got your first 11?
No, that means that we try to pick the game time for everybody. I think it's not to forget that we have a chance for 5 subs this season. So we use this chance. We said last year that this is a game changer for us, and we need to have more options. And we have an intense way of playing. So sometimes it's necessary to give earlier a player a chance to come in. And this is why we do it.
When you look at your team now, and they've got a little bit more direct, the press is perhaps tailored. How far away are they, or how close are they to your core principles, your core beliefs?
We changed the behaviors a little bit, as you said, this season, and we have to find still a way to be dangerous, to create more chances that we did in the last game. And but the basic is the fundament in the defense, and this is what was very good in the last games, and we have to keep it high.
Do you still feel you have that identity now? Because everyone knew you that as a pressing team, as a team that pressed from the front. Do you still feel you still have that identity?
Although we are not pressing now on the highest line, I think we are still one of the top teams, what means ball wins in the opposite half. So it's not that high anymore, yes, but we are still able to win balls high up the pitch if it's necessary. But the right balance this season, especially in the defense, gives us the chance to not give so many chances away like we have done in the past.
You said Ainsley is closer to learning what you want and what you expect of him. What are those things that he perhaps needs to improve on?
Yeah, that sometimes you are a little bit more ball-oriented, defending, not following the run of the striker who is running deep, because we know that the back four is then there and covering us and sliding. So these are so different behaviors, what we demand from him, and what is a little bit new sometimes for players that are coming new in, and this is the reason why we have to work on this, and it takes time, and it doesn't come from one day to the next. It's something we have to work, and we had time to work on this. This is good.
And just finally, Ralph, Juan Lawrence, he moved away from Sevilla, he went to Barcelona at 7, he went to Manchester City at a young age. Does that experience of living away from home perhaps suit him now, because he managed to perhaps adapt quicker to a new environment?
I think it leads to a very quick-grown person who has a character that you could feel that there were a lot of things happening in his life since here, and in a positive way, a very quick-grown young person. This is what you can feel when you talk to him, and he knows exactly what he wants. And when I say that, sometimes he remembers me to a very famous player in Germany I was playing with when he was, I think, 18 or 19, when I was in the second team of Bayern Munich. It was Philipp Lahm. It was a little bit similar to him, very clear in his mind and very clear what he wants to do and what he wants to achieve, and a very good character. And this is what you need in modern football.
Okay.
Ralph, obviously, Armel got a catch up. Great for him to go away with Germany. Have you seen spring his step from doing that? Is there any sort of difference to it from going away?
We had only one session today, so I cannot see that he suddenly scores, I don't know, many goals or whatever. But it's also not necessary. I think we know what we have with him, and we know how good has done his job in the first 6 games, and now he has a chance, to go and make the next steps in his career. And I think it was a very good start for him here in this club. And now coming the games where he has to show that he wants to go to the World Cup, and I think he has all the chances to do this.
Are you surprised that the call came so quickly for him?
Not really. I know that they had watched him, and I mean, when you see him playing against Chelsea, and it was definitely a very good game there, then you know what you get. And there are not so many centre backs in the league. They are so dominant in the duels, in the defense duels, and you as soon as you perform good in the best league in the world, I think you have a lot of arguments on your side.
Is it the sort of flip side to that, though, the fact that people are noticing him already and what he's doing? There's already talk about whether other clubs might look at him as a young player who's doing well in the Premier League. Yeah,
I mean, we had this discussion with Romeo after 2 or 3 games where you said offers from I don't know what. This I will never understand, to be honest. Let them play a good season. I remember when I was playing football, I think you need 2 or 3 good seasons before they said, he's a good one. Meanwhile, 3 or 4 games are enough, and then everybody, big. Give them time, keep it calm. I know that you want to have stars and create stars and everything, but doesn't help the players, and very often the opposite happens then. And that's the reason why I always try to keep them grounded and let them do their job.
Sam Dozy obviously went away and he had a good spell on international, scoring a couple of goals. What do you need to see from him to start in the team?
Well, I think so far he had some good moments, got some good minutes in our team. Starting in the Premier League, I think, is still something what he needs to be physically ready for. I don't want to say that he is not so far, but I think it's easier in a moment for him to come in as a sub and have an impact with his qualities he has. And I'm sure that he will also get tomorrow some minutes.
Alex Clapham, obviously he left the club last month. He's just gone to Vasco da Gama in Brazil. Is that a surprising move to you, or and are you still happy with the setup as you are at the moment?
We are happy with the setup, and it's not surprising for me because we know that he wanted to make the next step, and maybe this was the right one for him, and then it's okay.
Obviously you're coming up against Everton, who were heavily linked with Shay Adams over the course of the transfer window. How important was that piece of business, keeping him at the club?
Yeah, we don't have to discuss that he was a very important player for us up front. There was never a question that we want to give him away, and the interest of other clubs shows that he has done a good job so far here, and we are happy to have him here, and this was never a question.
Do you think it will give him extra motivation when you come up against a team that you know are admirers? Does it give a player extra incentive to do well?
I think it should be always enough motivation when you know that there's a Premier League game on the weekend. As a player, there's no more motivation needed, to be honest.